I think the one I enjoyed reading more than anything else. I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
The royal family is becoming more unstable with each passing day, and divisions are growing within its ranks. At the heart of this growing rift is Camilla. Often seen as the villain and the third party in a troubled marriage, her presence has long stirred controversy. While the monarchy has weathered many storms, nothing could have prepared them for what was coming. Behind the palace's closed doors, murmurs of dissatisfaction escalated into a full-blown crisis. One unexpected decision would send shockwaves through the monarchy. Camilla made an announcement no one anticipated, one that broke with tradition and unsettled the royal household. She insisted on dropping the title Queen Consort and declared that she should be addressed simply as Queen. This declaration directly contradicted promises made to the late Queen Elizabeth II. It triggered a deep internal conflict within the palace, leaving many stunned by the boldness of the move. Even the most devoted supporters were left speechless. Just days before King Charles III's coronation, Camilla called a meeting with senior royal officials. What was supposed to be a routine discussion about the historic event quickly took a dramatic turn. Sources say Camilla entered the room with unusual confidence. Before anyone could fully grasp the situation, she delivered a message that shook the foundations of royal tradition. The announcement sparked immediate discomfort. Many of the officials in the room had served the monarchy for decades, and their shocked reactions showed just how significant the moment was. Camilla's statement wasn't a mere adjustment to protocol, it challenged centuries of royal precedent. More importantly, it went against Queen Elizabeth II's clearly stated wishes. For years, the monarchy carefully shaped the public's understanding of Camilla's role. With one decision, that narrative was completely upended. Camilla made it clear, the title Queen Consort was no longer acceptable to her. From now on, she wanted to be referred to simply as Queen. The boldness of this announcement was staggering. When Charles and Camilla married in 2005, their relationship faced heavy public scrutiny. Camilla's involvement in the breakdown of Charles's marriage to Princess Diana had left many skeptical. To address public unease, Clarence House announced that Camilla would not take the title Princess of Wales out of respect for Diana. It was also assured that when Charles became king, Camilla would be known as Princess Consort, not Queen. This compromise acknowledged Camilla's role without allowing her to overshadow Diana's legacy. Over time, though, this stance quietly evolved. In February 2022, Queen Elizabeth II gave her blessing for Camilla to be called Queen Consort upon Charles's accession. But now, Camilla wants more. The title Queen Consort still suggested a lesser status, and she was no longer willing to accept that. She sought full recognition. She wanted to be known solely as the Queen. Her decision sparked immediate backlash. Senior palace officials, especially those who had remained loyal to Queen Elizabeth II, were quick to object. They reminded her of the carefully agreed-upon public narrative and the solemn promise made to both the people and the late Queen. Critics warned that this sudden change could stir controversy and harm the monarchy's already delicate image. But Camilla stood firm. Insiders revealed that she listened to the pushback with thinly veiled impatience. As debate broke out in the room, some officials appealed to her, emphasizing that the title Queen Consort had been chosen out of respect for Princess Diana and to prevent public outrage. Still, Camilla had already made her decision. She wasn't seeking permission, she was simply stating what was already final. Despite the backlash, Camilla got what she wanted. After the coronation, the royal family's official website was quietly updated to reflect her new title. There was no formal announcement, no ceremony, just a quiet but unmistakable change. Camilla was officially listed as the Queen. With that, she had firmly secured her place in history, no longer the Queen Consort, but the Queen. News of Camilla's new title spread rapidly through the palace. Some were shocked, others outraged. But one reaction stood out the most: Princess Anne's. Anne, known as Queen Elizabeth II's most loyal defender, didn't hesitate to express her disapproval. She was furious, viewing Camilla's move as a direct betrayal of their late mother's wishes. This moment marked the start of a serious rift between Anne and Camilla, a divide that would only grow deeper after the coronation. Anne saw Camilla's new title as more than just a change. It was, to her, a complete break from royal tradition and a betrayal of Queen Elizabeth's legacy. According to palace insiders, Anne's response was cold and intense. While she wasn't one for public scenes, she made her feelings very clear behind closed doors. The tension eventually reached its peak during a private gathering after the coronation. What was meant to be a joyful family celebration instead turned into the backdrop for a dramatic confrontation, one of the most striking moments in recent royal history. During the event, Camilla was overheard making a comment about finally being recognized as queen. Whether it was intended as a joke or a serious remark remains unclear, but the impact was immediate. Up until then, Anne had kept her composure, but that comment made her snap. Surrounded by high-ranking guests, Anne reportedly delivered a cutting remark that left the entire room stunned. "You're not the queen, just the king's wife." This wasn't the first time tensions had flared between the two. Their relationship had always been strained. Unlike other members of the royal family who gradually accepted Camilla, and never truly warmed to her. She kept her distance, showing only minimal politeness. Royal biographers have often described their interactions as distant and frosty. So what's behind the long-standing tension between them? The roots of Anne and Camilla's strained relationship go back many years. Their differences stem from clashing personalities, values, and visions for the monarchy. Though they've maintained civility in public, those close to them know that their relationship is marked by a deep and growing divide. One major cause of Anne's resentment lies in their contrasting views on royal duty. To Anne, the monarchy represents duty and sacrifice, not privilege. She has spent her life serving the crown, often taking on the most challenging and thankless tasks without complaint. She never seeks the spotlight and doesn't care about popularity. For her, serving the monarchy should come from a sense of responsibility, not ambition. Camilla, on the other hand, has often been accused of putting her public image ahead of her royal duties. When she joined the royal family, she had a controversial past tied to her relationship with Charles, and she's worked hard ever since to change how the public sees her. Unlike Anne, who embraces the less glamorous parts of royal service, Camilla is seen as someone who carefully selects her engagements to shape her image. Some within the palace believe and sees this as self-promotion, not true service. These contrasting approaches to royal life have made it hard for Anne to see Camilla as an equal, much less accept her as queen. To Anne, being royal means prioritizing duty and discipline over personal image and ambition. Another reason for their ongoing conflict is the stark difference in how they communicate. Anne is famously blunt and direct. She speaks her mind plainly and doesn't play palace games. If she dislikes someone or something, she doesn't hide it. Camilla, by contrast, is known for being more strategic and subtle in how she handles royal matters. While Anne is upfront, Camilla tends to influence things behind the scenes, using quiet persuasion rather than confrontation. Those familiar with royal life say Anne has always been suspicious of Camilla's behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Camilla has been quietly positioning herself within the royal household, strategically forming alliances to strengthen her influence. Some inside the palace believe she's ensured that key individuals support her growing power. Princess Anne, known for her honesty and directness, reportedly disapproves of Camilla's calculated methods. And believes loyalty to the crown should be straightforward and not driven by personal ambition. The stark difference between Anne's transparent nature and Camilla's more discreet, behind-the-scenes tactics has created a sense of mistrust and ongoing tension. Anne allegedly feels that Camilla's rise in status wasn't earned through service or sacrifice, but rather through careful orchestration. Camilla's increasing influence poses a threat to Anne's position. The most intense source of conflict between them seems to stem from Camilla's expanding role in the monarchy, a development Anne finds troubling. Traditionally, Anne has been among the most respected and powerful women in the royal family, serving as one of King Charles's most trusted advisors. Now, with Camilla in a prominent role as queen, there are growing concerns that Anne's influence is waning. Reportedly, Anne sees Camilla gaining power too rapidly. Some palace insiders even claim that Anne suspects Camilla is deliberately pushing her aside. If Camilla is implementing changes that Anne feels are harmful to the monarchy, she becomes a serious concern in Anne's eyes. Privately, Anne has become more outspoken about the risks of Camilla holding too much sway. She's worried that Camilla's growing influence over Charles could result in decisions that destabilize the monarchy, and she remains determined to safeguard the institution from being shaped by Camilla's personal goals. What began as a distant and chilly relationship between the two women has evolved into a subtle but undeniable conflict. Their ongoing feud is rooted not just in personality clashes or political rivalry, but also in unresolved pain and betrayals from the past. The royal family's history is filled with scandals, shifting loyalties, and moments of deep hurt that have left lasting scars on their relationship. One of the most notorious episodes in recent royal history is the love triangle involving Charles, Camilla, and Diana, a situation Princess Anne witnessed closely. Charles and Camilla's relationship began in the early 1970s, long before Diana entered the picture. Though Camilla married Andrew Parker Bowles, she and Charles rekindled their romance during his marriage to Diana. This affair didn't just harm the monarchy's image, it caused immense personal anguish to Diana, William, and Harry. Anne, a devoted traditionalist, disapproved of how Charles conducted his private affairs during this period. But her criticism went beyond disapproval. She saw Camilla as a harmful influence who played a central role in one of the monarchy's biggest scandals. The breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage wasn't merely a personal tragedy, it became a national scandal that shook public faith in the royal institution. For Anne, who has always defended the crown, Camilla represented the very force that had helped bring shame to it. To Anne, Camilla wasn't simply an outsider joining the royal family. She was someone who had once dragged it through scandal, and that memory still lingers. When Camilla was officially welcomed into the monarchy, and reportedly took it as a betrayal of the royal values she holds dear. The pain continued after Diana's untimely death in 1997, which devastated the royal family and left emotional wounds that still haven't fully healed. And, like many senior royals, mourned deeply for Diana, recognizing her dedication as a mother and her efforts to modernize the monarchy. The royal family's initial response to Diana's death drew public criticism, but what truly angered Anne was Camilla's continued presence in Charles's life during this sensitive time. While the nation grieved, Camilla remained quietly in the background, and her relationship with Charles steadily gained legitimacy. Anne reportedly found this deeply inappropriate, particularly as Diana's sons were still coping with their mother's sudden death. To Anne, Camilla's rising visibility in the royal circle so soon after the tragedy felt like a dishonor to Diana's memory. When Charles and Camilla officially rekindled her relationship with Charles and began making public appearances alongside him, Anne reportedly saw this as both premature and disrespectful. At the time, the royal family was still trying to repair its image after the Diana years, and Camilla's increasing presence only stirred up more controversy. Anne never agreed with how swiftly the family seemed to move on from Diana's legacy, and she couldn't forgive Camilla for the pain caused to Diana, William, and Harry. Anne's concerns extended beyond old grievances. She had long been uneasy about the influence Camilla held over Charles. Over time, Anne observed how Camilla gradually gained more sway in royal decisions, subtly guiding how Charles fulfilled his duties. Anne had always been one of Charles's most trusted confidants, offering insight based on her deep understanding of royal customs. But ever since Camilla became a formal part of the family, insiders claimed Charles's decision-making started to reflect Camilla's growing input, something Anne found troubling. Anne reportedly believes Camilla is steering Charles toward policies and reforms that don't align with the traditions their mother valued. Some sources suggest Camilla has advocated for certain people within the household to be promoted, often at the expense of those entrusted. What worries Anne most is the toll this power shift may be taking on Charles. Given his age and health concerns, she believes Camilla's constant push for greater control might be adding unnecessary stress. For Anne, being loyal to Charles doesn't mean agreeing with everything he does. She's always placed the monarchy's well-being above personal relationships. If she sees Camilla's influence as detrimental to Charles's leadership, she considers it her responsibility to step in. Anne had already been growing frustrated watching Camilla's increasing control. But when Camilla dropped the queen consort title and insisted on simply being called queen, that, for Anne, was the final straw. Tensions came to a head when Anne decided to confront Camilla directly, a breaking point in their long-standing feud. The encounter, described as both inevitable and deeply personal, marked a turning point. Until then, Anne had kept her criticisms behind closed doors, choosing to remain silent in public. But when it became clear that Camilla had no plans to retreat, and realized diplomacy was no longer an option. The confrontation reportedly happened in private, away from public view, though its effects rippled through the palace. Known for being straightforward and composed, Anne didn't hold back. She accused Camilla of betraying Queen Elizabeth II's legacy, allegedly telling her this is not what she wanted. But Camilla stood firm. After spending decades earning acceptance and a place in the royal family, she wasn't about to back down. She refused to acknowledge Anne's anger and reportedly declared, "My verdict is final." While no further details from their exchange have surfaced, one thing became clear: Anne had no intention of letting the issue rest. The royal family was now experiencing internal divisions unlike anything seen in decades. The disagreement between Anne and Camilla had escalated beyond quiet discontent, it had become open resistance. Prince William soon became involved. Although he wasn't part of the confrontation itself, he couldn't ignore the growing tension within the family. As someone committed to modernizing the monarchy, William grew increasingly concerned over Camilla's recent actions. He had always approached the issue diplomatically, but he wasn't blind to the deeper conflicts surrounding Camilla's role. Since the loss of his mother, William had watched the monarchy struggle with the public's perception of Camilla. Now, with her decision to drop the queen consort title and present herself simply as the queen, William's patience was wearing thin. To him, the issue wasn't just about titles, it symbolized a broader question about the future direction of the monarchy. William had already started taking measures to reduce the monarchy's dependence on a large number of working royals. He believed that a leaner, more focused royal family would better align with modern expectations. In his eyes, Camilla was seen as the villain, the third person in the marriage. Her increasing prominence seemed to go against this streamlined vision, especially as she tried to carve out a significant role that was never part of the original plan. To address this, William adopted a more discreet strategy. Rather than making any bold moves, he's quietly working to lessen Camilla's influence within the institution. His approach includes shifting the spotlight to other royal figures who better represent his ideals. One of them is Princess Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. Highly respected and free from controversy, Sophie is steadily becoming more visible, particularly through her public duties. As Sophie and similar royals gain more attention, Camilla's role could appear less essential. This might be the beginning of her decline. The next chapter could involve Camilla's growing isolation and struggle for relevance. With both Princess Anne and Prince William standing firmly against her rising influence, the royal family now faces a potential internal rift that could impact its future direction. Camilla has never been one to back down easily. She spent years fighting for her place in the royal family and among the public. Now, as queen, she is determined to maintain her status. But with Anne's direct opposition and William's quiet maneuvering, she finds herself at a critical crossroads. If she continues to push for a bigger role, she may risk further alienation within the family. Her ambition has already created noticeable tension. Without support from Anne and William, her path to increased power appears blocked. Should she decide to step back, she might preserve some level of prestige, but it would come at the cost of the goals she fought so hard to achieve. Adding to her challenges is the fact that Camilla has few strong allies within the royal family. While King Charles has always been her main supporter, his declining health has made him increasingly reliant on others. With Anne and William taking on more significant roles in royal decision-making, Charles's backing may no longer be enough to secure her future in the monarchy. Outside of Charles, Camilla has little real support among the younger royals. William, as the future king, is committed to modernizing the monarchy, a direction that clashes with Camilla's more traditional stance. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has remained respectfully distant but has never developed a close bond with Camilla. Even the youngest royals, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, have minimal connection with her, highlighting her increasing isolation within the family. One thing remains clear: this situation is far from resolved. Whether Camilla continues to fight for influence or chooses to retreat, the next few years will shape how she is ultimately remembered. Will she be seen as a transformative royal figure, or as a queen who, despite her title, gradually faded into the background? What are your thoughts on Camilla's future? Feel free to share in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.